It's Friday. You know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince, and we have just a jam-packed show for you today. We are going to try to give you like a feel-good Friday, but before we get to all the feel-goods, we got to update you on the Jalen Brunson news that we just got. We also have to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Oklahoma City Thunder. We need to address some of the goings on with some of the other teams around the league. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you an Eastern Conference wraparound. And then we're going to finish it off with a little Golden State Lakers observations. So there's a lot to get to, and we're going to get to it momentarily. The first and foremost thing, we're glad you're here. We love our audience, and we hope to provide you with some great content today. So buckle up, get ready, and let's go. First and foremost, last night was everything I wanted it to be. The Lakers played the New York Knicks last night. Obviously, we can get into the game a little bit later, but the first news that we need to get to is this. Is the Jalen Brunson injury. It looked sick. It looked absolutely disgusting when it happened. He could barely put any pressure on that foot whatsoever when he stood at the free throw line to take the free throws. And, he needed help to get to the back. Now, Luka tried to give him a Laker jersey, which he had signed, and Jalen had already left. So, this is the latest update of what we have right now on Jalen Brunson. It looks like he's going to be out for 2 weeks. It's a right ankle sprain. There seems to be some possibility there might be some foot sprain involved in it as well. The x-rays came back negative. Well, let's be real. 2 weeks could turn into 3, could turn into 4. Of course. Hopefully that won't happen again. So the ankle sprain could turn into 2 to 3 to 4 weeks because it looked like it was like a mid-foot sprain as well. Now, here's the thing. The Knicks are 40-22. They're sitting in the number 3 seed in the East. But that lead is not a comfortable lead. They're only 3.5 games ahead of the Milwaukee Bucks and 4.5 over the Indiana Pacers. That could go south real quick in this 8-game stretch without Jalen Brunson. Now, we took the liberty because we wanted to make sure you understood what was ahead of the Knicks. So here's their 8 upcoming games. You got the Clippers tonight. So as we're recording right now, the Clippers and the Knicks are just about getting started right now. So as this podcast goes along, we can go ahead and keep you up to date with what is going on there. It's early. It's ugly. It's 7-0 Clippers. But again, it's early. Now, they play the Kings after. Now, the Kings are a little bit different. They don't have De'Aaron Fox anymore, but they do have Zach LaVine. They do have DeMar DeRozan. And they do have a punishing big man, which is Domantas Sabonis. So that's not going to be an easy game there. Then they play the Trailblazers. Now, the Trailblazers have played well. Those were against like bad teams. Now they're starting to play against good teams. We'll see how it all plays. Now, they are much improved. The Trailblazers aren't just a patsy team that you can just run all over. It will be a battle, especially without Brunson, and we'll get into why and the how and what have you in a little bit. Now, it doesn't get any easier after you get done playing Portland. You go and play the Golden State Warriors. After the Warriors, it's the Miami Heat, and then it's the San Antonio Spurs, and then it flows into the Charlotte Hornets, which is a good thing, and the Washington Wizards. So I guesstimate that Jalen Brunson should be out until the 25th of March. These are the 8 games that present themselves in that 8-game absence of Jalen Brunson at this current time. Now, could he come back a little bit sooner? He could. Could he come back a little bit later? That's the nightmare scenario. So let's get into why this could be a real big issue. Number 1, Karl-Anthony Towns must step up and be your go-to scorer. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns has played so well this season, but I will say this. He has really stepped away from the label that was on him in Minnesota. Because if you remember a lot of the antics that were going on with Karl-Anthony Towns in Minnesota, there were a lot of fouls that were considered not smart fouls. There seemed to be some maturity issues or whatever. And there seemed to be just sometimes just not that spark. Now, he has played out of his mind in Gotham. So he is a different cat in New York City. Hence why they call him Bodega Cat. But here's the one thing with Karl-Anthony Towns. He can't create his own shot. Not very well. So he's going to need somebody to spoon feed him opportunities. Who's going to be that person? Now, Mikal Bridges, in Brooklyn, he took on a bigger offensive role. And we saw signs of offensive creation, things that we had not seen in Phoenix. He was more of a catch and shoot dude in Phoenix. He showed a little wiggle. He showed a little like, oh, I'm very competent with the basketball in my hands. I can hit an open man and what have you. So if that part of the game is going to come back and reemerge itself in this present time without Jalen Brunson, that would be a really, really additive situation going into these next 8 games. Now, excuse me. I got this cough. I can't get rid of it. Sick sucks. Now, can this team survive a long enough situation without their guy? They're going to have to, because it's going to be really important for them to hold on to their slot right now. They are the number 3 team. And as the number 3 team, what you're trying to do is you're trying to avoid the Cleveland Cavaliers at all costs. They are buzzsaw, and they did work tonight as well. They're 53-10. And we'll get to them momentarily. Back to this Brunson deal. Let's give you some numbers. This is what the Knicks will be missing over the next 8 games. So 26.3 points a game, 7.4 assists a game. He's shooting 49% from the field, 38.4 from 3. Those are career highs across the board. Now, here's the thing that you are going to definitely want to know. These are the numbers that we always try to give you. He leads all players with a minimum of 20 clutch games in clutch points per game, which is 6 per game. Okay? Only Nikola Jokic has a better clutch field goal percentage among players taking at least 2 shots per game in crunch time. The Knicks haven't been playing great even with Brunson since January 1st, so since the calendar changed over to 2025. They are 17-12. But if not for Brunson's late game heroics, that could have easily been 12-17. Now, all that's conjecture, so Knicks fans, don't trip. I know you're going through a bad situation right now. But personally, here's the thing. Brunson even showed last night in the Laker game how clutch he was. He hit just shot after shot that was just acrobatic. He was shooting over somebody usually 6-7 inches taller than he was with a wingspan, but he's able to bump them off their spot enough and then lean back far enough, and he shoots it with such a high trajectory that it just goes in. Dude is super nail, super clutch, and the Knicks will miss him. Now, the Knicks are 5th overall in offensive rating, but since January 1st, they dropped to 12th. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in both percentages and attempts, and Brunson is one of only 3 Knicks shooting above 35% in that span from 3. So the offense has been slipping, even with Brunson. So without him, this is going to be a massive problem. So where are the answers? Because I'm sure Knicks fans have come for answers, because this is where you come for the answers. You come to the Front Runner Podcast Collective. This is where you get all of the good information. So I'm going to do that for you. So here's the thing. Let's kind of look at this as a broad situation. The Clipper game right now doesn't look great. That Kings game, that's going to be a tough situation with Levine and DeMar DeRozan and Sabonis trying to get the Kings into the playoffs in the Western Conference. Portland is a young team that they should win, and they should bully and win, but it won't be a pushover. The Warriors game is just going to be a dogfight because Jimmy Butler is absolutely astonishing the way he's playing right now, and we'll talk about him later in the podcast. Then they play the Heat. That's not a gimme. The Hornets, that should be a win, and the Wizards should be a win. So without Brunson, 5-3 keeps them afloat. 4-4, depending on how the other teams behind them do, which is Milwaukee and Indiana. 3-5 is like the worst case scenario. But they do have a 3.5 game lead over the Milwaukee Bucks, and they also have a 4.5 game lead over the Indiana Pacers. So they do have a buffer. The one thing that you don't want to see is you don't want to see Dame and Giannis get hot and overtake you. You want to stay out of that four seed, even though it's still home court advantage. You would like to hope that you can get into that 3 seed and take your chances with a very, very young Detroit Pistons if that's how it ends up. But we still got 20 games left in this season. Who knows how it's going to end up? Now, a couple other things before we get out of here and start talking about something else. With the Knicks, it's basically surviving. This is a team that actually should be able to function without Brunson if they get the right offensive creation. Now, the offensive creation is going to have to come from different people. Deuce McBride is going to have to step up. We're going to have to see the very best version of Cam Payne, because Cam Payne has some D'Angelo Russell in him. He seems to get a bit out in front of his skis a little bit with his ability and what he thinks his production should be. But obviously, with Tibbs there, he'll pull the trigger when he needs to. And then again, will Mikal Bridges go back to some of the offensive creation that he was showing in Brooklyn and utilize that right now and get into some pick and pop situations with Cat? That might be one thing that would be the saving grace of the New York Knicks. Now, here are some real off the wall things. Now, I do not believe any of this will happen, so take this with a grain of salt. Tyler Kolek, the rookie from Marquette. He's a floor general of the highest level. Now, it's asking a lot for a guy who hasn't really played all season to step in as a rookie and go up against some of the greatest athletic people on the face of the planet that he would be going up against every single night in the NBA. You know what I say about young guards in the NBA. They just get baptized every single night because every single team has a really good one. And if you don't come with the right mindset, you'll get cooked. So, I mean, Tyler Kolek, also rookie. We know how Tibbs feels about playing young players. He doesn't trust them. Hence why we are in this issue in the first place. Now, a couple other things that we need to address here that I'm not telling any New York Knicks fan that they don't already know. The Knicks must stay in the top 4. They cannot drop to a situation where they do not hold down some sort of home court advantage at least throughout the first round. That is an absolute must. You must keep that. You can't have Milwaukee or Indiana gaining some sort of home court advantage on top of you. Now, the other thing is this. The defining moment for Towns and Bridges. Towns has put up 30 plus games on a regular in New York City. He's been electrifying as a scorer. He will have to continue to keep that production up. But again, we will reiterate this until the cows come home. It's not all on Cat. You got to get him the ball. So it will be on, it'll be on the drive and kick game of Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, to a lesser extent, Deuce McBride, and we got to hope that also Tibbs will adapt and play a 2 big lineup, use Mitchell Robinson as a defensive anchor, and maybe you can kind of, in this 20-game period, if for some reason you're going to be in this situation for at least 8 games without Jalen Brunson, get Mitchell Robinson up to a point where he's a very impactful defensive player. Because right now, the Lakers, and we'll get to them later, in that fourth quarter, they got what they wanted against the Knicks, and it was kind of scary. So, here's the last thing that I'm going to say about this, and then we can get on. When you're a top seed, you don't get gimme games in the playoffs. Everything is earned. These next 8 games are about to be a proving ground for this team. And this team is more than Jalen Brunson. They went out and gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. And Mikal Bridges has been a disappointment all year. It's the thing that people have not really been saying out loud. You've been saying it like with your friends, like in the corner or whatever. But at the end of the day, he needs to step up. He needs to show out. And he needs to earn his nickdom. He needs to get that. So, OG, he really showed me something in the Laker game. If he's going to be this guy, if he's going to be this type of force multiplier on the offensive end, this will be helpful in this absence of Jalen Brunson. Knicks fans, let me know. Do you think you survive March? Hit us up on X at FRPC or hit our producer up, Soraya at Rhea_Funch FRPC. Now, we told you we were going to have some happy times in this podcast. Now, a team that I want to get to, and I want to loop in a couple other teams. First and foremost, OKC and Cleveland are having excellent seasons. They're having historic seasons. If you're looking at the net ratings, if you're looking at the records of these two teams, Cleveland won tonight. They are now 53-10. OKC also handled business tonight, and they are 52-11. Now, the great thing about those two teams is that we saw OKC coming, right? We saw this last year. We thought they would be improved. They were. Did we see this? I don't know. We thought that the moves that they made in the offseason, Isaiah Hartenstein, also Alex Caruso, we thought excellent. Just what OKC needed, and they were able to do it without giving up really any draft compensation whatsoever. So with that being said, they're loaded for bear, and they're ready to go. So they're nice. We don't have to worry about them. Cleveland, on the other hand, they bring in a new coach. They replaced J.B. Bickerstaff. Now, J.B. Bickerstaff was the Cleveland coach. He gets Donovan Mitchell, changes the whole situation in Cleveland, and it moves the timetable up. He had Darius Garland beforehand, and Darius Garland was looking like a perennial all-star. He was looking like a guy who's definitely going to be able to run the team for a very, very long time. Now, the Evan Mobley explosion happened this year. So, under J.B. Bickerstaff, he was not able to garner whatever the optimal atmosphere to allow Evan Mobley to blossom, right? So, they move on. And they get Kenny Atkinson. And this Kenny Atkinson season has been absolutely excellent. But the guy that I want to talk about now is J.B. Bickerstaff. Because the Pistons, who hired J.B. Bickerstaff in the offseason, Trajan Langdon came in, changed the whole situation up, let Monty Williams go, said, hey, you enjoy your 13 plus million. Go ahead and enjoy that. Have you some margaritas. What? Have you some mojitos. What? Have you some pina coladas. What? Or just a beer. Right? And we're going to go ahead and move on without you. And we're going to go ahead and bring in J.B. Bickerstaff because we think that he will be able to reach the young players and create a culture that will be more suitable to development. Now, did we think it was going to work? We just saw J.B. Bickerstaff get blown out of Cleveland. There were a lot of hard feelings. There weren't a lot of harsh words because J.B. Bickerstaff was a really good coach, and they said they thought that the team kind of outgrew J.B. Bickerstaff. So, we were expecting some improvement with the Detroit Pistons this year. I expected maybe, hey, they got a couple vets. These vets will help Cade become a pro. Hopefully, Jay Nivey also becomes a pro. Then the unfortunate injury to Jay Nivey, you know the whole deal. Now, we get into all of this because the Detroit Pistons are not only a play-in team, they're a playoff team at this point. JB Bickerstaff has Cade Cunningham. He was an all-star this year. Ausar Thompson, who has recovered from the blood clots that stymied him early in the season. He has become a absolutely assassin on defense, just kind of reminiscent to his brother, his twin brother, Amen Thompson in Houston. Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, is over here coming off the bench, playing his role, kind of stopped shooting the three, which he was shooting last year. They kind of taking that out of his shot diet and just let him be like a role player, like a rim runner, role player, what have you. Little pick and pop guy. So everybody seems to be able to fit into their role. Tobias Harris has played well. Now, we might have clowned Tobias Harris last year. It seems like Paul George has taken that moniker over. It must be something in the water. Jimmy Butler must have put some kind of curse on that team, because every small forward they've gotten after Jimmy Butler has not worked out. Tobias Harris didn't work out. Paul George, you see the issues. My man shut down his podcast. I mean, it's a lot going on in Philadelphia. But I want to bring you some good news, because here's the thing. Let me give you some things that are going on in Detroit. Over the last month, the Detroit Pistons have allowed the fewer points per possession than any team in the NBA. They force turnovers at a 16% defensive possession, fourth in the NBA. They're holding teams to 62% in the restricted area. That's fourth in the NBA. Opponents are shooting 46% on dunks and layups when Isaiah Stewart is at the rim. That's the best in 5 years. Jalen Brunson, 30.4% defensive rebounding rate in this stretch. Over this time, he's swallowing up 1/3 of the opponent's misses. And then we get to Cade Cunningham. Now, Cade Cunningham is one of the type of players that I really, really like. I've always, I tell you I'm old. I tell you I'm old all the time. I'm 52 years old. I fell in love with basketball because Magic Johnson was the guy who kind of just introduced me to basketball. So I've always been attracted to that type of player. Pause. I see some of y'all on it. Don't trip. Now, Cade Cunningham is basically the prototype of basketball player I like. And let me tell you why that is. Cade is not just a scorer. He's a gravitational force. When he's running the offense, he creates defensive scrambles, and the Detroit physicality wears on teams and wears them down. The Pistons' half-court offense is still developing, but Cade's presence elevates everyone, especially their shooters. Now, Malik Beasley is having the best shooting year that he's ever had in his entire career. We also talked to you about Tobias Harris and what he's providing for that team. Who was it? Tim Hardaway Jr. as well. Also playing a very impactful role for the Detroit Pistons. So why is all this working? Well, first of all, these dudes are shooting at a high level beyond the three-point arc. That's the first and foremost thing, right? And then the second thing is the switchability of the Detroit defense. Isaiah Stewart can switch on to perimeter players and hold his ground against bigs. Ausar Thompson is just a terror in the passing lane, on ball or off ball, and his IQ and the way he processes offenses and the way he disrupt cutters, getting through the lane and things of that nature is something that is very, very just under. It's one of those things we don't talk about because it's not one of those things that is real glamorous. He does a lot of the dirty work things that you really need to have a really successful defense, and then he can just be a on-ball pest. He can pick you up 94 feet. He's long. He never gets tired, and he has a tenacity and just like he has like a sparkle in his eye when he can press up against somebody. So Ausar Thompson has been really additive to what Detroit has done this year. And then Jalen Duren, he started off the year, and at first we were kind of going, okay, what's happening here? Is it going to regress? We had talked about last year. We didn't understand the Wiseman situation because it's only going to hurt Jalen Duren's development. And the way this year started off, I was worried that this was going to be a situation where, okay, see, that Wiseman experiment really messed up Jalen Duren. But he has picked it up. So he's not only just their best rim protector, but he's making smart rotations on closing possessions. This dude is getting out to the corners on shooters. He's actually being able to shade to their shooting hand without fouling. So he's not losing control when he's going into the shooter. And he's providing a very impactful, super long wingspan at a corner shooter. So he's really turned it around. I've been really impressed with Jalen Duren, and credit to J.B. Bickerstaff for not losing this kid because he's super important to what Detroit's future is, especially if you're talking about somebody who can impact just rim protection. Rim protection is monumentally important. Now, they're not just playing aggressive defense, but they're playing smart, connected defense. They're switching everything, rotating hard, and making teams uncomfortable every single game. Boy, if the Knicks get them in the first round, I don't know if you want to see Detroit in the first round. So the Detroit guards, they're out here playing like they got something to prove. It's like their entire team has been watching those "You're Too Small" compilations and took it personally. They played like a bar fight waiting to happen, aggressive, relentless, and always looking for contact. And let's talk about Ausar Thompson because this man is everywhere. He's in Houston. No joke. I'm joking. That's his brother. Amen. He's not in Houston. He's already looking like an all defensive guy. Ausar is doing the same thing in Detroit. He's scrambling offenses like a chef omelet, and he's also throwing off everything in the chaos. What he's doing is he's pressuring the ball before it gets beyond half court. So by the time you get to the point where you're about to set up your offense, there's like 10 to 12 seconds left on the shot clock. So you're not getting into that, okay, let's go ahead and run some sort of really sophisticated play. It's usually, let's get into a pick and roll action and let's see if we can get a real good shot off of that situation. They're just not allowing you to do that. He's not allowing you to do that. He's dictating tempo to you. He's dictating what your offense is going to be able to get itself into just with his ball pressure. It's just a little added bonus to have, and then you have just length around him. Because when Ausar is out there, Jalen Duran's out there. If it's not Jalen Duran out there, it's Isaiah Stewart out there. And then you got Tobias Harris, who's a vet, who knows where to be. And then Ron Holland II comes in, and he's a beast. So they got a lot of guys. And they seem to really enjoy playing defense. A lot. So, again, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This is a JB Bickerstaff masterpiece. Look, we all clowned the Pistons last year, rightfully so. But this team is legit this year. If you watch them, you know that they're not some cute young team. They're a problem. They got a bunch of size. They got defenders. And they got Cade. And if you got Cade, he just makes everything work. And then if you need some nasty, if you just need somebody who is just got a little bit of crazy in them, I present to you Isaiah Stewart. Now remember, this man 2 years ago wanted to fight LeBron James. Like literally like some on-site type stuff. So you always love the crazy. Always love the crazy. It's a good time. I enjoy it very much. The Pistons are going to be theater down the stretch because they're playing hard. They're playing together. They're having fun. And they don't know they're not supposed to be here. And that's the best kind. That's the best kind of fun you can have. You don't know you're not supposed to be here. And they are looking at Milwaukee and they're looking at Indiana. And they're like, man, we can probably catch you guys. And could you imagine if Detroit had home court advantage in the first round, what that would look like? And either Milwaukee or Indiana had to play the Pistons in Detroit. Scary times in the Eastern Conference. Scary times. So we are going to move along to, we came up with something, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the entire Eastern Conference. We're going to tell you within the last 20 games what these teams should be looking for, looking to do, what they should be kind of prioritizing, and so on. Some of this is going to be funny. Some of this is going to be very informative when it comes to your playoff teams. So bear with us. We thought a lot about these. So we are going to start. Again, like I said, we got about 20 games left. A lot of the teams have like 21, maybe 22, but about 20 games left in the season. And with that, you got some teams looking at a championship run. You got teams that are getting their best player back from injury. You got some teams just trying to, lock up a playoff spot and just kind of get themselves rested and ready because they're battle tested and, they've been playoff hardened before. So we are going to take a look at all these teams. So we're going to start with the first team, the team who won the championship last year, the Boston Celtics. And the thing that I look at the Boston Celtics and I think of health and habits. And what I mean by that is this, is that they need to focus on resting key players and reinforcing championship habits. Boston has nothing left to prove in the regular season. This is true. They've got the best net rating. They're winning on both ends. Kristaps Porzingis is their biggest X factor. The real goal is to keep KP upright, put him in bubble wrap. And he's the one dude that can make or break what their championship aspirations are overhauled if he's playing or not playing. Um, Now I know that last year he didn't play a lot in the playoffs and really just kind of saved himself for the finals. But I think this year is a little bit different because a lot of teams have gone to that double big situation, and they're gonna need Kristaps Porzingis to be who he was when he did show himself in that NBA Finals. Like, what was it, Game 1? He just went crazy. It was super sick. That first quarter was amazing that he had. Let's give you a couple other numbers. Positive 9.8 net rating, best in the NBA. This is the Celtics. They are first in offensive rating, second in defensive rating. The Boston Celtics are 32-5 when Porzingis plays. So here's the thing. Boston right now is just in a position. They are number 2. Are they going all out for the number 1 position? No. They're just trying to hold on to the position that they have. They're trying not to fumble the bag right now. Basically, they've already shown you in, you can call it brief spurts or moments or whatever it is that you want to call it. But that team, when it needs to show you its championship medal, it has done it this year. So, do I have any provocations or do I have any, um, you know, thoughts or interpretations going into the playoffs about the Boston Celtics? No. Kristaps Porzingis healthy. Whatever Drew Holiday is going on with his finger, get that as healthy it possibly can, and go out here and get yourself in a position where you can battle whoever is left when you get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So whether it be Cleveland or whoever, let us, Boston will be there. Don't worry. The other thing too is to try to taper down the Al Horford minutes. This dude is older than some coaches in the league. Drew Holiday definitely has some miles on him, so a little respite here and there does not hurt a Boston Celtics team. Keep in mind, they played basically 100 games last year, and then Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Jason Tatum also played in the Olympics. So, pardon them for them not being super enthusiastic and not trying to chase down Cleveland for the best record in the NBA. Here's another key takeaway about what's going on with this team. Joe Mazzulla has a style. We have been in awe of it. We've also questioned it. For the most of the time, it works. They won an NBA championship off of it, and it's really pretty a meritocratic type of offense that he runs. It's basically have your two guys who run the offense, Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, get them going downhill, kick it out to your 3-point shooters, start putting people in the blender, and repeat until you get the best shot. If you can do this, if you have the energy and you have the guys who can do this and create this type of half-court frenzy for you, it's a nice weapon to have. Really nice weapon to have. So let's move along to Brooklyn. Brooklyn. Basically, you're just evaluating your roster at this point. They need to assess the young players worth keeping. The Nets are in a weird in-between stage position. They have Cam Thomas, Zaire Williams, and a bunch of maybe dudes. They got to decide if they want to pay Cam Thomas or flip some of these young guys for another piece, or even just draft capital. Cam Thomas is averaging 21.3 points a game this year, but only 3.1 assists. Actually, the 3.1 assists per game is higher than I thought it would be. I have to admit. I thought this dude would actually go and try to get a scoring title in Brooklyn. Good on him that he didn't. Okay. Brooklyn's net rating since the trade deadline has been a negative 7.2, which is 28th in the NBA. Zion Williams is shooting 39% from three, but it's still low volume, so we still don't know. This has been the problem then when he was in Memphis, is that he was not able, well, he didn't even shoot the ball at a good percentage. Now the volume isn't there, so he's going to need to increase that. So hopefully he can, with these last 20 games, he can start to stretch that out a little bit. Let me take a little water break. The Brooklyn Nets, to me, are. I hope you can get this analogy. It's like when you break up with your girl, and now you're figuring yourself out. New haircut, new clothes, but eventually, you gotta actually decide what you want. And Brooklyn has that flexibility this year. If they wanted to, they could go and chase big names. But I think right now they're just in the rebuilding phase, and I don't think there's anything that should take them out of that. I think they should stay on this course, get some high-end talent if you can in this draft. Maybe get some high-end talent in the next draft, because there's some dudes. There's some dudes in that next draft. So they're kind of just, hey, we're in self-discovery phase. Now on to the Knicks. And the Knicks, their situation right now is everybody in New York City is praying for the health of Jalen Brunson. You know, so we wrote this before we got the 2-week situation on Jalen. So pardon us, but they still need to do this as well. And we talked about this. Integrating Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitchell Robinson raises the defensive ceiling of the New York Knicks. There's no doubt about it. But here's the thing. You need to also remember what Cat looked like next to Rudy Gobert last year. That's the most important thing about this whole deal. I don't care what goes on with the guard situation. Josh Hart can run your point. Deuce McBride can back him up. You can get some playmaking, some offensive creativity from Mikal Bridges. You can piecemeal that together. The most important thing that I would love to see Coach Tibbs do is to allow Mitchell Robinson and also Karl Anthony Towns to play minutes together. He's been reluctant to do so. He did it for 2 minutes and 15 seconds in the Laker game, and they outscored the Lakers 9-4. Small sample size, I know, but it's a start, and it's something that we're gonna want to see. Because here's the thing: right now, their defensive rating is 18th. 18th. It's not good enough. They're gonna have to be better. Right now, it's basically see how quickly you can get Jalen Brunson back, but don't rush him back, obviously. Can you survive without him? And can you put your bigs together and see what that looks like, and see if there's any kind of plausible lineup that you can utilize these two 7-footers together? Now, we're going to move on to the Philadelphia 76ers. All right. They're tanking. There's no Joel Embiid. I would shut down Maxey every once in a while. Paul George can go back to the podcast. I know he said he was going to try to create championship habits and all this other stuff, but here's the deal. Philadelphia's record is terrible without Joel Embiid. Their pick is only theirs if it's in the top 6. If it's not in the top 6, that pick goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the rich get richer. They're projected to finish 7th worst, which means basically they could. It's the worst case scenario right now. All of this Joel Embiid nonsense. And Philly fans, it's not you. It is not you. But with the injury situation, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Mystery time, these hey, we'll give you an update in this amount of time, and then we're going to push this back a week and all this other stuff. I'm glad he shut down. I'm just glad it's shut down. It's over. Again, if they end the season right now and everything fell the way it's supposed to fall, the Oklahoma City Thunder will be drafting 7th with Philadelphia's pick. So, with all costs, you must tank. You must keep this pick. You must be able to utilize this pick either A, to trade it for a veteran, or B, and this is my thought. Now, you didn't listen to me last year when I said, hey, probably shut Joel Embiid down. Let's not even bring him back for the playoffs. Surprise, surprise, 5 games before the playoffs, Joel Embiid is back. He gets hurt with 2 games left before the playoffs. Plays through the playoffs, which I said, don't do that. What are you gaining? You are a first round exit. What did you do? Play a serious, drag out 7-game series against the New York Knicks, one of the most physical teams in basketball. So, Joel played through that. Then, he played in the Olympics. And now we're here. So, I will say this, and I will say this one time. I don't think they should be rewarded for their bad behavior. But I want Philly fans to get a high pick because they deserve it. They deserve something for this atrocious season that Philadelphia 76 management has a lot to do with, because they didn't have to give that guy his extension, because they gave it to him after the Olympics. So you saw the Olympics and you said, you know what? You know what sounds like a good idea? Let's give this dude $190 million 3-year extension. Let's do that. Yay! We're awesome. Or you're stupid. 1 and a 2. All right. Let's move on to another dreadful team, which is the Toronto Raptors. Hey, Toronto, how you doing? Okay, let's get to it. Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram, and RJ Barrett are making a shit ton of money. Yet, they suck. And they will be in the lottery. Congratulations to having one of the most expensive lottery teams we've ever seen. But you're not the most expensive. Don't worry. We got a team. We'll talk about it later. The Raptors have the easiest remaining schedule in the East. Here's what Scotty Barnes is doing. He is scoring 20.5 points a game, 8.1 rebounds a game, and 5.2 assists a game. So this is the Scotty Barnes that we wanted to see. The shooting's still not come around. He's not a good three-point shooter. And then the most perplexing thing that the Toronto Raptors and Masai Ujiri has done, if you look at the roster construction, last year they traded OG Anunoby for Canadia's own RJ Barrett. I understand that. And then Emmanuel Quickley. Now, what do these players do a lot of? They handle the ball. Now, when Scotty Barnes was drafted by the Toronto Raptors, it was told to the media that he was going to be an on-ball facilitator and basically be a connected piece that was going to basically bring this offense together. We see him just attacking the rim or spraying it out to shooters. So if Brandon Ingram is more effective with the ball, if Emmanuel Quickley is more effective with the ball, and RJ Barrett, who has gotten off ball more this year than any other time in his career, but usually he's more effective when he's on ball, does that diminish what Scotty Barnes is to you? And what is he actually doing, and how effective can he be, and what kind of impact what kind of impact can Scotty Barnes be if he's not able to use the superpower that you drafted him for? Masai Ujiri has a lot of questions to answer, but Canada's got its own thing going on with America. I'm sorry, Canada. I'm sorry. Anyways, Toronto has a group project, but they can't overachieve too much because they'll ruin the curve for themselves. Listen, they can't keep winning games. They gotta lose games. So all this talent that is playing, I expect some injuries or something. Something's gonna have to happen. Now, we keep on going down. I hope we get to some good stuff soon. Okay, well, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls real quick. We're gonna move on to the Central Division. In this Central Division, there are the Chicago Bulls. And what should they be worrying about the last 20 games of the season? I'll tell you one thing they should be worried about. Matisse Buzelis. Matisse Buzelis is their only piece right now that is, in a sense, worth anything on the team. Okay? All right. You trade for Josh Giddey. You give up Alex Caruso. You don't get a first round pick for that. Okay. You say, well, Vince, there's a reason for that. Because you see, Josh Giddey is 23 years old and he has a long future ahead of him, and we're going to re-sign him. Okay. So OKC, Sam Presti, who is a great talent evaluator, lets Josh Giddey go for somebody 6 to 7 years his senior and 4 inches shorter than Josh Giddey is. Why would Sam Presti do that? Oh, because Alex Caruso is definitely a way better player than Josh Giddey. That's why he did that. That's exactly why he did that. Now, with that being said, back to Buzelis, because he is basically about 6'10", with legit ball skills. He's not some stiff. They've been babying him all season long, but it's now time to let him rock. He's got all the tools to be a problem, but they just need to let him play. And I'm going to tell you exactly why they should let this dude play. Chicago Bulls fans, say it with me. Why did you give money to Patrick Williams? What has Patrick Williams shown? He still can't shoot. Patrick Williams today is shooting 39%. That's not from three. That's overall. That means whether it's point blank range, short mid range, or 3-pointers, he's shooting overall 39%. And I believe he's shooting under 50% at basically what they call the restricted area. I think it's 48% from the restricted area. So that's basically point blank range. That's like layups, 2-footers, dunks, things of that nature. Tell me how that's even possible, being 6'8", 6'9", 235 pounds, a physical freak, and you can't put the ball in the basket. But they gave him a contract. So I don't really care about the contract anymore. I just want to see Matas Buzelis play. So I'm done with the experiment in Chicago. I know you're trying to get to the play-in, and you're going to get there again. Congratulations. You're going to be able to squeeze out one more little playoff game. Great. Fantastic. Your fan base would like to see you tank. Your fan base would like to see like real high level, high tier talent to be infused into the Chicago Bulls. There have been bright spots on this team. I don't want to disrespect Kobe White. Kobe White is my dude. You know I love you, Kobe White. You come from North Carolina. I got a special place for people from North Carolina. So therefore, you my man's 100 grands. And the 44 points you put out the other night, congratulations, my guy. You know what I'm saying? I love that. That was great for you. I hope you make a lot of money this offseason. But if I don't see Matas Buzelis play like 28 minutes a game for the next 20 games, I am going to really try to have a great summer of basically just peeling back the layers of the Reinsdorf family and all the mistakes they've made over the last 20 years. So if you don't want to hear about your team and some of your failures over the last 2 decades, play this man. Okay. Pre-All-Star, Buzelis was averaging 15 minutes a game. Post-All-Star, 28 minutes a game. When Buzelis plays 20-plus minutes, the Bulls are 15-24, but they need to see how he fits long-term. The three-point shooting has been shaky. This was the one thing in his scouting evaluation that we thought could be a long-term problem. So far, he's shooting at 31%. But he's shown a lot of flashes of shot creation, not just for himself, but for others. And that's been the thing that I'm most excited to see. But finally, I think they should let him off the leash. You know, I think they should just go ahead and allow this kid to play, make the mistakes, and see what goes on from there. Now we can get to a team that is actually playing for something. I'm sorry, Chicago fans, but the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing for something, and they are playing for sweet glory. Cavaliers, in the next 20 games, your assignment is to go for 70 big dogs. You are 53-10. Okay, you've been killing everybody. Like, your net rating is stupid right now. It's just historically, it don't even seem real. You guys seem like a video game team that I created and put all the good players on it, basically. They're on fire. 70 games is not out of the, isn't, they're just in, they're within reason to go ahead and go for it. Because it's not like, here's the thing, they're playing 10 to 12 guys every single night. It's not like Donovan Mitchell is playing like 36 minutes a game. It's not like Darius Garland is playing like 36 minutes a game, or Evan Mobley, or anybody like that. Like, they're around 30. So, not heavy minutes. If you can keep it on, this cruise control and just keep winning in the flow, hey, you should be able to get 70 wins. If not, you're still going to have a historic season anyway. Like I said, they're 53-10 after tonight. So 17 more games to go. And here's the thing. Cleveland should worry about the playoff. They are not banner chasing in March. If you want to be a 70-win team, here's the deal. You can chase it. I think you have the team to try to chase it, because it's, like I said, it's not like you have an 8-man rotation and you're playing heavy minutes for your starters. If that was the case, then I would be like, nope, let's rest everybody. But that's not the case. We talked about Detroit earlier. We talked about what they're doing and how they're doing it, and they're just kicking ass, and we love Detroit. Basically, really develop half-court offense. See what works. See if Malik Beasley can stay on the floor, and he's not going to get played off the floor because his defense is kind of shaky. See if Tobias Harris is going to be a guy who will disappear on a team. Can they get him to stand up? Can Cade keep him accountable, and what have you? These are what the last 20 games are for the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons should be trying to get home court advantage for the first round. They should try to get to 4. And it's not even to better their chances of going anywhere. It's not about that. All it is you're here now. You're a young team. You're trying to learn something through this process. And sometimes your goals change, right? You probably started off this year, okay, we were in the plan. We've had a good first year. Well, hell, because the East is down, you have a chance to might end up with the home court advantage in the first round. So go ahead and try to get it. If you don't get it, no skin off your nose. You're going to be in the playoff anyway. You go in there, you have fun, you try to kick ass. You can see if you can get to the second round, and then you're probably going to get your head beat in. But this is what young teams go through. This is what you should be trying to do. So good luck, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Speaking of odds and favors, the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, okay. Giannis is still playing at a MVP type level. Damian Lillard has had a really good season. Not gonna kill it. Not gonna kill it. They did trade Chris Middleton. They did get Kyle Kuzma. He has brought a little more juice. I'm still waiting on the shot to return. That has not returned yet. We will see. Bobby Portis is still suspended because he's taken. I still don't understand that story. Somebody gonna have to explain that to me one day. And Doc Rivers is still Doc Rivers. So here's the thing that I'm gonna say to the Milwaukee Bucks right now. If you guys don't get your shit together, you are going to be on the outside looking in, and one of these teams like Indiana or Detroit are going to come up from behind and take the final home court advantage for the first round. Dame needs to be more tight. As far as that's concerned, it needs to be more Dame time. Giannis needs to just be unbridled and continue to attack the paint with reckless abandon. And for the love of God, Kyle Kuzma, can you somehow summon some sort of care factor in playing some sort of productive offense? Just give me something. Just something. Now, here's the thing. I will say this. They do look more athletic without Chris Middleton. Kyle Kuzma does provide some length on the wing that you did not have. And he also can provide some rebounding that if he's motivated, he can give it to you. The shooting has to come around. You got to have him as a spacer. It is omni-important for Kyle Kuzma to find where he was shooting like 38, 39% from three. He needs to find that shit again. Because if Milwaukee doesn't have it, now Giannis could win you a series by himself in the first round, but in the second round, they're going up against probably Cleveland or Boston, and that does not sound like a recipe for success at all. I'm just saying. Now, good news: 10-3 post trade deadline. Currently fourth, trying to fight off Indy and Detroit. New additions trying to adjust to the system. So you got Kyle Kuzma out here and what have you. You got the young players out here getting some burn that, Doc had to lean on because he needed athleticism. But here's the thing. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to rely on Giannis and Dame. And Giannis and Dame are going to have to be the superstars that their reputation says that they are. And if those guys play up to the level of what their name recognition says it is, they're going to be held to deal with in the second round. If those guys play periodically, if it's a little more infrequent, they're going to get bounced, and they're probably going to get bounced early in the second round. Now we can go to the South Division. Southeast, what's up? Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks, here's the deal. I understand. Jalen Brunson out. We got a bunch of injuries. You don't have a lot of depth, whatever. So you went and allowed Trey to be old Trey. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, you making a real deal with the devil, boy. I'm telling you right now, because you know what? Dyson Daniels and other people are going to start feeling this is not fun not getting the ball, not touching it. Look at Trey's usage in the last 2 weeks. And look at his usage before the trade deadline. It's a completely different Trae Young. I don't know if this is what they need to do to go ahead and, be productive and pile up wins. I don't know if this is Quinn Snyder saying, hey, this is our best opportunity to win. But, man, letting Trae Young taste heliocentric basketball again is a scary proposition. And I don't like it. It's like, Mama, please make the Batman go away. So Atlanta is still in play-in purgatory again. And here's the thing. They're going to get stuck here because they're not bad enough to get into the lower end of the lottery. And they're not good enough to get out of it because Trae Young is your best player. So, here's the best part. Trae Young is 24 points per game. He's 12 assists per game. So the counting stats look great. But it's the worst shooting efficiency of his career. He is the league leader in assists. But he is shooting 40% overall from the field. He's shooting 34% from 3. And the Hawks, here's the best part. The Hawks are 17-7 when they shoot 35% plus from 3. And they're 8-19 when they shoot below 35%. Who's taking most of the 3-point shots? Trae Young. And there goes the reason why the Atlanta Hawks are the forever playing team. Listen, the Hawks are like just showing up for your job and you just doing enough not to get fired. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta just keeps skating by. They got Trae Young, who looks like he is the offspring of I'll Be Sure. And, I guess it's good enough. Because we're going to talk about another team here that might have another guy that seems like that too. Let's talk about them right now. The Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets are next up on our bingo board. And here's the thing about Charlotte. I understand they're bad. I understand that, Brandon Miller went down and they had a ton of injuries and all of these type of things. But I'm going to ask this one question, Charlotte. Charlotte fans, to my guy, Tony, Coach T out there, I love you, my guy. We need to get you on the pod soon. But here's my question to Charlotte fans and also to the Charlotte brass. How, on God's green earth, with you, the Charlotte Hornets, who has LaMelo Ball on your team, how do you lose 4 times to the Washington Wizards? They won 15 games this year. It's embarrassing. You lost 4 times to the Wizards. I don't need to say anything else about your team. 28th in defensive rating, 30th in offensive rating. By the way, you know that they're the only team that Washington has a winning record against, right? The only team. I don't really need to say anything else. So we're just going to move on to Miami. Miami. Can Pat Riley, can Eric Spoelstra, this is what you need to do in the next 20 games. I'm going to let you know right now. Can Eric Spoelstra, Udonis Haslem, Pat Riley, can they find the 2022 rendition of Andrew Wiggins? Andrew Wiggins was supposed to be this major piece after the Butler trade, but he struggled. if Miami can find the 2022 finals Wiggins back, if they can find that dude, they will have something. But we have not seen that guy since he got paid. Because remember, he put up this season, he went into the NBA Finals, and there was a point where Andrew Wiggins might have been the third best player in that series. So think about what I just said. Steph Curry was in that series. Jason Tatum was in that series. Jalen Brown was in that series. Draymond Green was in that series. And I said that Andrew Wiggins might have been the third best player in that series. And then what happened? He got paid. He got his extension. He got his money. And we ain't seen that version of Andrew Wiggins since the NBA Finals of 2022. By the way, we have had a presidential change, and we still haven't seen that dude. We don't put people on the milk cartons anymore. We get those annoying, like, alerts. We get silver alerts. We get amber alerts. What do we get for struggling NBA players who used to have incredible, ungodly athletic games that would show improve in the NBA Finals and then inexplicably just disappear off of the face of the planet? There should be an alert on my phone for that. Can we call this the mint green alert? It's like, so when a player gets paid and then whether it's his care factor or it's his training regimen, I'm not saying that about Andrew Wiggins because he's always in shape, but there seems to be a lack of desire to put forth the special effort that we saw in the NBA Finals that gave us tremendous joy and pleasure watching, because we were like, oh my God, this is Andrew Wiggins? Look at this. He getting like 13 rebounds a game. Look at Andrew Wiggins out here just D'ing up Jason Tatum, just D'ing up Jalen Brown. I didn't know that Andrew Wiggins had this. We didn't know this was in his bag. We were not familiar with this game. And guess what? We didn't even need to get familiar with that, because we ain't never seen it again. So for the next 20 games, I want all of the scientists. I want all of the whatever, the AI bots and whatever that we using to like create these like miracle drugs that's doing all this crazy stuff or whatever. I want them to take their combined power and figure out, did 2022 Andrew Wiggins, did he get zapped like in the Marvel movie, like in Endgame, and he just never came back, and the dude that's here now is really not Andrew Wiggins? It's like Loki playing Andrew Wiggins. Because if that's that's probably what it is. Loki can shapeshift, and he somehow, world domination has something to do with destroying the Miami Heat. I don't know where this is on the galactic timeline, or the the different parallels of the universes or whatever, but I bet you that's what it is. But I hope Pat Riley can find out that Loki is behind this. That's my thought. Okay, so we talked about a lot of teams. We talked a lot about Eastern Conference teams. We talked a lot about a lot of things. But you know what we need to get to? We're gonna end this podcast on a happy note, because we're gonna talk about two teams that are absolutely streaking right now. They are streaking like Frank the Tank in Old School. We're gonna go streaking through the quad. Frank the Tank, my guy. Shouts out to Will Ferrell. All right, so we gave you a bunch of Eastern Conference stuff. Let's talk about the Wild Wild West. Let's talk about Steph Curry. He has found his playoff co-star in Jimmy Butler. And LeBron has found his generational running mate in Luka Doncic. And both teams are looking downright terrifying right now. This might be the closest thing we have had to Warriors versus Lakers in a postseason battle. And you know with everything in your being that Adam Silver and the crew in Manhattan is going, please God, if you love us, if you really show the NBA favor, the Lakers will finish 3 instead of 2. Somehow, some way. And the Golden State Warriors will finish 6. And we will get a first round matchup of Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry versus LeBron James and Luka Doncic. So saith the Lord. I'm sure that is what's going on in the NBA offices literally at this moment. I am almost certain of that. But before we can even get to that showdown, let's talk about what's going on right now, okay? We're going to talk about Steph a little bit. They were dead in the water. They were 13-23 in their last 36 games before the trade. They were bottom 10 in offense. They were bottom 5 in defense. Curry was playing like he was old. Curry was playing like his age. And we were starting to have little whispers like, is it going to only show up like once a week? And we're going to see like that Curry game, and then it'll disappear for a week, and then we'll see it again. We were starting to think that. But then Jimmy Butler walks into the door, and guess what? Jimmy Butler rediscovered his joy. How exciting for us all in NBA basketball. That, remember, he said in the Miami press conference, he was like, I lost my joy. And then the reporter, with a great follow-up question, asked him, Jimmy, can your joy be restored here in Miami? And he said, probably not. Well, I am here to tell you that Jimmy Butler's joy has been found. And it's in San Francisco with Steph Curry. Because they're 10-1. Playing elite and winning defense. And winning every close game. It's a true miracle. Okay, before Butler, 27th in defensive rating. 5th worst in offense. They were somehow worse than the Wizards in offense. Could you imagine that? Think about what I just said. The Golden State Warriors were worse in offense than the Wizards. Now, with Butler being with them, they are number 2 in defensive rating. Number 2. 107.2. They have a positive 11.8 net rating, second best in the league since Jimmy Butler got there. 8 straight wins with Jimmy in the lineup. And I want you to listen to the Steph Curry numbers. Just listen to these. Since Jimmy's arrival, 34.8 points per game. He is shooting 55% from the field, 44% from 3. Oh, and 5 plus assists. So, he still get those in too. He's the first player in NBA history to make 50 plus threes in an 8 game span at a 50% rate or better. So here's the thing. I just want to kind of reenact this a little bit. So Jimmy shows up in the locker room with a smile, with probably what is it? The big face coffee is called, right? Big face. Shows up with a cup of coffee in his hand, says costs about $20. He's sipping on it. Hey Steph, how's it going? What's up? So Steph says, hey man, let me talk to you real quick. And the thing about Steph that a lot of people say, and if you listen to the quotes from Jimmy Butler after any game that he's played with Golden State, every quote has been on the money. We're just trying to get better. We're trying to create continuity. I just want to fit in. I'm here to do whatever it takes. I want to make sure that I leave my defensive impact on the game. All the quotes are like 100% the quotes you want to hear. Steph Curry has a little like Prince in him. People talk about Prince when you get around when you know RP to our guy Prince, okay? But people talk about when you got around Prince that like all sense of reality just washed away. And it was just like you and him in some sort of matrix room. And by the time he got done saying like 13 seconds worth of words to you, you know, you're on an airplane going to Brazil to watch, I don't know, llamas give birth. And you don't know why. Because Prince told you. And people say that about Steph. It's like Steph just has this way about himself and everybody just gets relaxed and stuff like that and whatever, except for Draymond Green, because Draymond has some sort of like weird kryptonite to that whole situation. But Steph just provides an oasis for people. He's the greatest star that we've had in the NBA. And what I mean by that is he's just so easygoing. It's just like, hey man, we just trying to, we're gonna shoot some threes, man. We can play a little defense. We're gonna run some picks. You're gonna do some stuff. I'm gonna do some stuff. We're gonna win some games. It's gonna be great. You're gonna love it. Try the sushi. And then Jimmy's like, this is great. And then Draymond walks in. He's like, hey, you ready to crack some skulls? And then Jimmy's like, I thought you'd never ask. Oh man, Jimmy Butler is in Golden State like when an agent action hero gets one last mission. Jimmy Butler got that John Wick situation. Yeah, I'm thinking like I got back my energy, and playoff Jimmy has been reborn. He's been reactivated, folks. So basically, Miami, by not giving Jimmy Butler his extension, that's kind of basically like killing Jimmy's dog in John Wick. And now he's in Golden State, and Golden State is basically like all the weapons that John Wick would ever need to kill all the people that wronged him and his dog. They are gonna be so scary in the playoffs. Speaking of scary, Luka and LeBron and the Lakers are more dangerous than we can ever have imagined. All right, dude. When he got to the team, I was like, all right, cool. This is great. Next year is going to be awesome. I'm super excited for 2025, 2026. I ain't going to even lie to you. Okay? I'm not going to even try to fake the funk on the nasty dunk. I'm not going to try to blow smoke. I'm going to tell you right now. I was like, Luka's here. We don't have a center. The offense is going to look cool. We're going to see some cool stuff. And it's on to next year. And that's how I thought about it. But wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. before Luka even arrived. So I want to take you back 24 games. 24. In those 24 games, the Lakers are 20-4. They have climbed from 5th to 2nd in the West. And the crazy part is they haven't played their best basketball yet. You know why? Because Luka is just his shot is just starting to round into shape. His touch is just starting to round into shape. Just starting to do it. LeBron is averaging basically like 30 points a game since Luka got there. 9, almost damn near 10 rebounds. And he's averaging less assists. And I'll tell you why in a second. The Lakers offense with Luka is 120.5 offensive rating since the trade. That would be number 1 in the NBA. You say, well, it's a small sample size, Vince. Okay, cool. 11 games. I got you. Not a big sample size. Their transition efficiency plus 11%. Luka has been picking apart defenses with like long passes to LeBron and or whoever else is down there, and they gotten like filthy dunks. The defense has been elite. 4th in the NBA in defensive rating, 109.3 over the past month, holding teams to 42.8% field goal percentage in clutch time, 2nd in the league. So I'm just going to ask this question. Luka gets out of Dallas, lands in Hollywood, gets to hoop with LeBron James, who is his childhood hero. LeBron, who couldn't play defense to save his life, suddenly has turned back the clock 14 years. He looks sprier than ever. And we're supposed to think that Luka is going to bring diminishing returns to the Lakers for what reason? Luka in LA already is giving first year Shaq vibes. Hollywood loves Luka like crazy. You see the 77s everywhere. Even Dirk Nowitzki has showed up for Laker games. Mark Cuban has shown up for Laker games. And we got all the stars back, baby. All the stars is coming back to crypto.com. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody want to be there. It's the hottest ticket in LA right now. It's hotter than, shit. It's hotter than anything you want to put out there. You want to put out whatever. Grammy tickets? Psh, Grammy tickets wasn't as high as what a Luka game is going for right now. Okay? Let's just get that straight. Now, bottom line, the Lakers, as a team, LeBron and Luka are just doing crazy, crazy shit. They still don't have a center. Okay? Jackson Hayes he is a big wing. That's what I would call Jackson Hayes. He has to be a weak side rim protector. He can't be a on-ball rim protector. It is not in his game. He is not meant to do that. He is too slight. So you have to have him off ball and coming as a weak side helper. So they made that adjustment and cracked that code. I still wonder, even though it's all been great, 40-21, super awesome, I am still worried about the interior defense. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. I still got to just, keep the analyst hat on a little bit. Like Bill, he'll just tell you Boston's awesome. at least with me telling you the Lakers are awesome, I'm going to give you reasons why, and then I'm also going to give you that I still have concerns. And the concerns are the interior defense. I don't know if you have enough bulk. I don't know if you have enough rim protection when it comes to like the more elite teams in the league. But here's the thing. The Lakers have been playing their ass off. They've been given a lot of extra effort. They've been doing a lot of in the scramble drills. You're seeing second and third efforts from Luka and LeBron James. So I don't know if this pace is sustainable. If you're telling me that we look up in late April and they're still doing the same thing, I'm going to tell you right now that the Lakers will have a chance to go to the NBA Finals. Because, quiet as kept, Luka gets a lot of praise, and he should. LeBron has been spectacular. He looks like an MVP candidate. Not like to win it, but like I would say like a satellite contender for the MVP candidate. I know that Shea and Jokic are your 1-2 people as far as that's concerned. But the way he's been playing lately, he does look like an MVP candidate. But having Austin Reeves on this team is a third offensive facilitator that it's going to be real hard for other teams to be able to counteract. Now, you might have the wings to be able to cover up Luka and LeBron, which not a lot of teams are going to have that. Right? Not a lot of teams are really going to have that. But if you got those two guys covered, here comes a 6'5", another offensive creator who's pretty talented. And I wonder what happens when you don't have an answer for the third one. You know, you might have an answer for one, you might have an answer for two, but for the third one, only rare teams have that. Golden State has that right now with Draymond, but he doesn't score. So it's a different element. Boston has that. Boston definitely has that. Cleveland has two. So we still don't know. The Lakers have three. So, yeah, of course, Lakers exceptionalism to end the pod. It's a Feel Good Friday. I want to thank Soraya for all her help. She's been awesome. Thank you, Soraya, so much. And the best part of you is you. Make sure you are surrounding yourself with supportive people. Supportive people who are additive to your life. Make sure you are acknowledging those people, appreciating those people who are giving you just positivity and good stuff into your life. If you're doing all that, go out and do some good in this world, and we'll see you back next week on this feed. Deuces.